What is happening, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel, Olu Nation. Still your boy, man, Rodrick Zalunya. And if you don't know that it's your boy, it means that you have not subscribed to the channel. So, guys, do me a huge favor. Go down below and subscribe to the channel. We are officially on the road to 1K subscribers before the year ends, man. That's what I want for this channel. We can only get there if you and I help each other. So, go down below. Subscribe to the channel. More videos coming, man. Listen, in today's video, I want us to talk about the downsides of having an aesthetic physique. But before we get into the video, you know that on this channel, we run by two principles. The first principle is that here on this channel, we do not watch porn. And the second principle is that here we do not masturbate. Those are the first two principles that are going to take you from being an average man to being far from average. So, like I've told you, in today's video, I want us to talk about the downside or the disadvantages of having an aesthetic physique. So let's get right into the video, guys. So guys, you have to understand that everything you do when it comes to self-improvement has got its pros and cons. Everything you do when it comes to improving yourself, when it comes to you wanting to become the best version of yourself, has got its advantages and disadvantages. Even getting that lean, aesthetic, muscular physique that all of us want so bad has got its disadvantages, and that's what I want us to talk about in this video. Now, gentlemen, I've already talked about the advantages of having a good physique, the advantages of having a good body, the advantages of being lean, of being aesthetic, of being jacked. I've already talked about those advantages so many times that at this point I might sound like a broken radio. But hey, guess what? I need to tell you guys to get in shape, because getting in shape will definitely change your life. I have so many videos. I've done so many videos. You can go and check my previous videos on the advantages of having an aesthetic physique. But in today's video, let's look at the disadvantages or the downsides of having an aesthetic physique. So the first disadvantage of having an aesthetic lean physique is that you get less compliments. So gentlemen, as men, we already get less compliments, okay? As men, we rarely get complimented. That's why if a man gets complimented once, he'll remember that for the rest of his life. Whether it's from his grandmother, whether it's from his friends, whether it's from his girlfriend, whether it's from who. It does not matter. When a man gets complimented, he'll remember that for the rest of his life. Why? Because as men, we rarely get compliments. Now, once you build that lean aesthetic physique, once you become jacked, lean and aesthetic, that rareness becomes increasingly huge because of two reasons. Number one, people already assume in their heads, they assume that you already know you look good. So they don't see the need for them to compliment you. They're like, hey, this guy already gets compliments from other people, or he already knows he looks good. So people will rarely compliment you when you have got a lean aesthetic physique, because in their heads, they assume that you already know that you look good. The second reason why you get less compliments when you are lean, jacked, aesthetic, when you have that aesthetic physique, is because you become more intimidating. Now, gentlemen, listen. For you to become lean, aesthetic, jacked, for you to get that jacked, lean, aesthetic physique, you have to put on some muscles. And muscles are intimidating. I won't lie to you guys. When you go from being skinny to a lean, jacked, muscular physique, or you go from being fat to having that lean, jacked, aesthetic physique, you become intimidating. So people will rarely compliment you because you are intimidating, especially women. Muscles are intimidating, guys. A guy who has muscles compared to a skinny guy, or a guy who is muscular, jacked, and has got an aesthetic physique compared to a fat guy, this guy who has muscles is intimidating. So you'll rarely get compliments from women because you are intimidating. If he's getting compliments, mostly it will be from men. There was a guy I was talking to in the gym, a short dude who is very, very jacked, has got an aesthetic physique. Most people would wish to have that kind of physique that that guy has. That guy was telling me that he rarely gets compliments from women, and if he gets compliments, it's from other men. So you see, that's one of the downsides of having an aesthetic physique, and that's the first downside of having an aesthetic physique, is that you rarely get compliments, or you get less compliments. The second downside to having a lean aesthetic physique is that people automatically think that you're dumb. Now, just like the stereotypical idea that most pretty women have no brains, that's how people look at guys who are jacked and have got an aesthetic physique. They think that this guy who is jacked and has got an aesthetic physique is dumb because they have nothing else going on for themselves in their life except their physique. I've told you, just like these pretty women, people usually use the stereotype that, oh, beauty without brains. Even when it comes to you having that lean aesthetic physique, people will start saying that you have got bronze without brains. That's what people assume. People automatically assume that you're a meathead who has nothing else going on for themselves in their lives except you and your physique, just because you are lean, jacked, and aesthetic. That's the second downside to having an aesthetic physique. People automatically assume that you are dumb. I've told you, just like the normal stereotypical ideas that a pretty woman has got no brains. That's why they call them beauty without brains. They also assume that once you build that lean aesthetic physique, you have nothing else going on for yourself except your physique. That's why there's the saying bronze without brains. So that's the second downside to having an aesthetic physique. People automatically assume that you're dumb. The third downside to having a lean, jacked aesthetic physique is that women will give you a harder time. Gentlemen, you have to understand that women will give you a harder time once you build that lean aesthetic physique that you want. Once you become jacked, once you build that jacked, lean aesthetic physique, women will automatically give you a harder time. Women will throw more shit tests your way, gentlemen, to see whether you are real or you're just covering your insecurities behind that lean, aesthetic, muscular physique. We all know that most men, I don't know about women, I'm not going to talk about women because I don't know how women operate, but I know how men operate. And I know that most men usually go to the gym or started going to the gym because they had insecurities. Maybe they were too skinny, maybe they were too fat, and they wanted to become lean, jacked, and have that aesthetic physique. So women will throw more shit tests at you to see, are you real? Are you what you say you are? Or are you just covering your insecurities behind that lean aesthetic physique? Also, when you're jacked, when you have a lean aesthetic physique, women automatically assume that you get women. Okay? So, they will want to give you a harder time because they want to sort of humble you. I don't know what they mean when they say they want to humble you, but I think it's they want to break down your ego. So they'll give you a harder time. They'll give you more shit tests. They'll give you a harder time because in their brains, they assume that you already get women because you have got that lean aesthetic physique. So they give you a harder time because in their heads, they want to kind of humble you. I was talking to a female in the gym the other day. I rarely talk to females in the gym. But she was telling me that most gym guys are toxic. And I was like, what do you mean most gym guys are toxic? She was saying that most gym guys only care about themselves, whatnot, blah, blah, blah. And that's the reason why women give them a harder time. It's because they want to break down their ego. You know, they want to break them down. They want to humble them. Now, for me, I thought that was a very stupid idea. Because what if the roles were reversed? I mean, I do that. I try to humble women all the time, at least the ones that show me that they have a lot of ego. But that's a downside of having an aesthetic physique, gentlemen. Women will give you a harder time because they assume, number one, that you already get women. So they want to humble you, they want to break down your ego. They give you a harder time. Number two, they give you a harder time by throwing more shit tests at you to see that are you real or are you hiding your insecurities behind that lean, jacked aesthetic physique that you've built. The fourth downside or disadvantage to having a lean, aesthetic, and jacked physique is other men get insecure around you. Now, gentlemen, you have to understand this. Most men are out of shape. Most men are not in the best shape of their life. So once you become lean, jacked, and aesthetic, once you acquire that aesthetic physique, you will automatically become intimidating to other men. Why? Because you have something that most men want but do not have the discipline, dedication, and commitment to go after. Most men will automatically become intimidated because you have a lean physique and they don't. You've worked for it. They've not worked for their physique. So they're sloppy. Well, you look great, you're in shape. So most men will automatically feel intimidated by you. You'll start seeing things like when you go to social settings, most men min mug you. They look you in a kind of way that they're sizing you up, or if there are females around and that one guy who is intimidated, or if there are different guys who are intimidated, they'll start holding their girlfriends closer. Gentlemen, I've told you stories of, I cannot tell you how many times I've been walking down the street. I see a couple walking the opposite direction coming. This guy will hold this chick's hand, okay, because they saw me coming. They're intimidated by my physique and I'm not doing anything. Or she'll give this chick a choke hug, hugging her by the neck, kind of putting her closer to him so that I don't take her away from him. Guys, I'm like, yo, man, I don't want your chick, man. She's your chick. I don't want your chick. That's why when you go to social settings, you see that I've told you, me guys, I rarely go to social events. But once in a while when I go to social events, guys mean mug me, they try to hold their girlfriends close, and I'm not even interested in that. So you become intimidating to other men when you're not even doing the most. You're just chilling, you're just existing, but other men are intimidated by you. Why? Because you have that physique that most of these men want, but don't have the discipline, dedication, and commitment to go after. So that's the fourth downside or disadvantage to having an aesthetic physique, is that other men get insecure around you. Fifth downside to having an aesthetic physique is that people automatically assume that you are an asshole. Gentlemen, because you've built that lean aesthetic physique, people automatically assume that you are an asshole who only cares about themselves. Because you've built that lean aesthetic physique, they assume that you are a narcissist who only cares about themselves. Just like the stereotypical ideas of that pretty girl. We've talked about the pretty girl without brains. So, we usually assume that a girl who is pretty only cares about her looks. And that's the only thing that she has going for herself. That's why she's so pretty and only cares about that. That's what you assume. That's what also people assume you are when you build that lean, jacked, aesthetic physique. People automatically assume that you're an asshole who only cares about themselves, who only cares about how they look, which is very wrong, which most of the time is very far from the truth. I cannot tell you guys how many times I've met people who are jacked, and these are the most humble people. These are people who you can walk up to, have a nice conversation with, and you won't even imagine what you are thinking about them. Once you build that lean aesthetic physique, once you get jacked, people automatically assume that you are a narcissist, like Patrick Bateman. If you don't know who Patrick Bateman is, go watch American Psycho. If you know who Patrick Bateman is, comment Patrick Bateman down below in the comments to show me that you truly know who Patrick Bateman is. That's the fifth downside to having a jacked aesthetic physique, is that people automatically think, or they automatically assume that you're an asshole. The sixth and final downside to having an aesthetic physique is that you become less social. So, gentlemen, getting that lean aesthetic physique that you want so bad will require you to sacrifice a lot of things, like going to parties, drinking alcohol, cutting out junk food. You'll require to sacrifice so many things. That's why most people who have got that lean aesthetic physique, they rarely go to social events. They rarely go out. Why? Because they're disciplined. Getting a lean aesthetic physique requires you to have discipline. Discipline is doing the right thing at the right time, whether you feel like doing it or not. You have to develop a very high level of discipline. You'll become less social. You'll go to less social events. You'll go to less parties. Why? Because you know your schedule requires you to go to the gym. You know your schedule requires you to eat clean. You know that your schedule requires you to work out, to sleep, to recover. You become less social. Guys, I cannot tell you how many social events I've been invited to, and I turn them down. I just say, hey, yeah, I'll come. I'll see what to do, or I'll come. To go to the event comes up, and I'm like, man, tomorrow I have to go to the gym. I don't think I'm going to that event. So that's the price that you have to pay for you to get that lean, aesthetic, jacked physique that most of us men want so bad, but don't have the discipline, dedication, and determination to go after. Now, the bottom line is, we've seen the downsides of having an aesthetic physique. But guys, listen, go to the gym, work on getting that lean aesthetic physique, because the pros definitely outweigh the cons. The pros of having a jacked, lean, and aesthetic physique automatically outweigh the cons. Thank you guys for watching. Leave the video with a big like, and share the video if this video might be helpful to anyone. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We're officially on the road to 1K subscribers. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.